Auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com. Along with Kevin Clark in for CC and Smalls. Evan Cohen with you. We are on Sportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio. All right, did you have video games in your house like that? Like Smalls had not even video games.
Yeah.
Those are video games.
I had a football arcade game. It was very cheap.
Really?
It was very, very cheap. But you could you threw the ball through the little circles.
Yes.
And it would tally up your score. That was a big hit.
Wow. Look at this.
After Boone High School in Orlando, Florida. Absolutely.
Look at this. Kevin Clark comes in, and he's more like Smalls than we realize here. This is amazing.
It was one game. It was probably like $200.
This is great. I'm not shaming you.
I'm not sure where we even got it. It just appeared one day in my room. It wasn't like a Christmas present or anything. I don't know. I don't know. I maybe have more questions than answers right now. I don't know why I had it.
Well, you've read them, you've listened to them, you've watched them. It's great to have Kevin Clark here. You see him on Around the Horn. You hear him here on ESPN Radio. This is Football Podcast with Omaha and ESPN. You get it on the app as well, and he's going to hang out with us for 4 hours today.
We'll see about that.
Oh, how many? What's the over-under?
I mean, maybe,
you do stuff for ESPN Bet with golf, so why don't we set an over-under here on this?
Am I going to make the cut after 2 hours?
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll actually update the leaderboard after 2 hours as whether or not we're going to keep Kevin on the show after 2 hours today. But this is truly remarkable because we have a ton to get to today. Yeah. The Matthew Stafford stuff is hot. NFL Network has thrown out there that maybe possibly we get a resolution this weekend on all of the Matthew Stafford stuff. But just for a point of background, Kevin Clark is a diehard Orlando Magic fan. Now, with all the disrespect in the world, I don't mean to do this, the Orlando Magic are not always a hot topic on our show. And you know what? They shouldn't be right now.
Typically, when I say I'm a Magic fan, most people's reaction outside of Florida is you're the first Magic fan I've ever met in my life.
Or Blaine or Copperfield. Which one do you like better, right? Like that's where people go with that. And yet, amazingly enough, on your first day on this show, or our first time hosting together, we've known each other for a while now, but our first time hosting together, it's unreal that the biggest game in sports last night involved your team, but not in a good way at all, because Steph Curry, breaking news, is still Steph Curry. 56 points last night for the Warriors, who were down 12 in this game, won 121-115 over your team in the Orlando Magic. Steph was 16 of 25, 12 of 19 from behind the arc, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. They were down, Golden State was, as many as 17 points, and he had 51 of his 56 points after the first quarter, his 14th 50-point game of his career, Kevin Clark.
There are 20 instances in history in which a guy made 11 threes. Steph Curry has 11 of them. It is astounding how good he is when he gets hot. And here's, to me, is the most important thing. The Magic played well last night.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Okay, for them, they
were well. Up. They had one of their best offensive first halves of the year last night. And then Steph Curry did Steph Curry things. I mean, like that's the point. It's like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. Like he's ruthless. He just stands there, he flips a coin and says, tonight I'm gonna score over 50 points. He was making half court shots. I'm not sure the Magic could have done more. They only lost this game by 6 points. This was Steph Curry saying, I'm not washed. I'm going to be able to beat this team. Now, Jalen Suggs wasn't playing, and we know how good Jalen Suggs is.
Yes, he's a good defensive point guard.
That could have helped a smidge. But this was Steph Curry just doing what he does. I think I've seen a lot of times where a guy goes for 40 or 50, and the team on the other side just totally checked out. It was an effort thing. This was not an effort thing. This was a Steph Curry thing, and that's what is most impressive to me. This is a play-in team. This is not like the Magic are not some 9-win team. This is a good team that was showing a lot of effort, and Steph Curry was still able to destroy them.
So when I looked at last night's schedule on the docket for the NBA, I was circling the finals matchup that I predicted before the season, which was Milwaukee and Denver. That was my finals matchup before the season. And I was planning on watching that, which I did. And Milwaukee won that game. We had the Lakers and the T-Wolves, which was late for us, but the Lakers won that game. Ant got ejected in that game. Now he's got to worry about the cumulative number of technical fouls, which is what Draymond had. For those who remember in 2016 when he got suspended in the finals, it wasn't for knocking LeBron in the lower region. It was because of the cumulative number of technical fouls, right? So Ant now has to worry about that if they get to the playoffs, or when they get to the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. But Steph stole the night. I mean, Steph just stole the night. It was unbelievable what he did last night. And the Lakers are still really good, and the Warriors are still really good. And this is, Kevin, what I have been saying for now the last couple of days. And I'm going to reiterate it over and over again. Let's stop looking for future faces of the league, and let's embrace what we have right now.
Yeah.
Steph and LeBron are still the faces of the league. And until otherwise noted, I know CC has fought me off on this. Hey, when we do this, we're talking about the future. Why can't I sit here and say, this year, next year, and maybe even the year after that? And if KD gets on a good team, because they lost to the Pelicans last night, who stink. But I am not backing down on the idea that it's Steph and LeBron's league and that these two are actually really good for the league right now, because I would love to see them play against each other in the postseason. 56 for Steph last night in a 121-115 win. LeBron and the Lakers win 111-102 over Minnesota, and LeBron does LeBron things as he's been doing since Luka's been there. 33 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists. Stop worrying about Ant. Well, Wemby's hurt, so let's leave him to the side. Stop worrying about SGA. Worry about Steph and LeBron.
I want to read you a list.
Okay.
Evan. It is the most points in a game by a player age 36 or older. Number 1, Kobe Bryant, 60 points in 2016. Last night, Steph Curry, 56. And then LeBron James, 56 in 2022 against the Warriors. Was anybody complaining about these games? Was anybody looking at Kobe Bryant scoring 60 points against the Jazz and saying,
last game of his career,
why don't we have younger players? You know, blah, blah, blah. No. You enjoy this. Nobody was complaining about Tom Brady playing into his 40s and destroying everybody and taking every quarterback who was 24 and 25 and saying, I'm going to show you how to play quarterback. You can't do it. You can't do it like me. Paired with Bill Belichick, who put rookie quarterbacks in hell. That was the most fun thing to watch in the world, was Tom Brady's 38, 39, 40 years old. Bill Belichick's got Patrick Mahomes in the torture chamber, and Tom Brady saying, okay, I'm going to beat you right now. That was fun to me. We weren't worried about who was going to take the torch. Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, that entire generation, Phillip Rivers, that entire generation was funny to me. Paolo Banchero had 41 last night. I think that was one of the biggest gaps in age and history with two guys scoring 40 points in the same game between Steph Curry and Paolo Banchero. That was happening all the time 5 years ago with quarterbacks, where it was Jared Goff going against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, biggest gap in the history of ages with that in that regard. Nobody in the NFL was worried about who was going to take over the mantle. They were just enjoying the forever quarterbacks, as I called them. Why can't we just say, hey, these guys who, by the way, this entire era, these guys are playing longer than they ever have. I mean, LeBron James can play for a few more years and still be a really, really good
even
all-star
more so
caliber.
now.
Yes, an all-star caliber player.
Yeah.
So instead of fretting and saying, oh, geez, why is no 25-year-old face the league? Why isn't Ant blah, blah, blah? No. We are so fortunate to have these superstars, and we should watch them as much as we can instead of fretting about who's next.
I think it's such a great point you're making here. And I'm totally on board with it, Kevin. And I don't understand why we do this. And now you're having me think about something else.
Because we're bored. We get bored.
Why?
Because I don't know.
We won 756 last night.
I'm not the one doing it, but we're bored as a sports fandom, and we always want to know what's next instead of being where our feet are.
But maybe that's part of the issue with the NBA. Like I've said it a bunch of times. I feel like the NBA is now majoring in self-hate, and I know a lot about that. Unfortunately,
same.
Right? So they're majoring in we're boring, we're not good at this. Well, how do you watch Steph Curry play? Yeah. And I watched it last night. You watched it last night. How do you watch Steph Curry play with 12 threes, score 56 points, and how are you bored by that? How are you watching LeBron James and Luka play and beat a good T-Wolves team and get bored by that? I don't understand. So, yes, part of the self-hate with the NBA is complaining that they don't know exactly who's next. There is no next. You don't have to worry about who's next. Worry about who's right now, because who was yesterday, today is likely going to be tomorrow. It's Steph and LeBron. If I said to you right now, Kevin Clark, if I said to you, you get to script what's going to happen next. You get to pick one postseason matchup, any round, finals included. What are you going to pick? Script it.
Probably Celtics-Lakers.
Celtics-Lakers in the finals.
Probably.
But I could sit here and make the argument, I'll take Lakers-Warriors in the Western Conference finals.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could be a hype. I mean, some people would say Lakers-Cavs to see LeBron against his former team, right? But Lakers-Celtics seems unbelievable as an NBA Finals this year.
Yes.
Lakers-Warriors as a Western Conference final. I mean, is anyone going to sign up for the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies over that? And that's 1 and 2. And I understand you could look at it and say, well, that's the problem with the league right now, is that you're not signing up for Oklahoma City and Memphis. No. The solution is you're still signing up for Steph and LeBron in the Western Conference Finals.
The other thing about it, I'm old enough to remember the post-Michael Jordan era where we were having these same conversations.
The Marbury Iverson.
And the guys who were the next candidates up, who everybody was saying couldn't fill Jordan's shoes, are legends now. Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, like guys who now we would all say, oh God, I wish we would play. And everybody, all the Twitter accounts say, this guy was a problem. You were complaining about those guys in real time. I was there. I remember that. Oh, no one can be the superstar after Michael Jordan. For some reason, the NBA, as you just said, majors in self-hate and always says, why can't we do this, instead of saying we are doing this.
And you're so right about the football part of it. Patrick Mahomes could play till he's 50, and we're not going to complain about it.
No.
Right? Brady was the face of the league till the day he walked out of the league. Now, but Brady put him over. The 2019 AFC Championship game, I've said it a million times, it is the most significant game in the last 20 years, I think, in the NFL. It was the handoff game. It was from Brady to Mahomes. So at some point, there will be a handoff from LeBron and Steph to whoever it is that's next. But until that inevitably happens, embrace what we have. Steph Curry had 56 points last night. LeBron and the Lakers are really good right now. And these two teams in the Western Conference are going to be must watch. And none of the top teams, not Oklahoma City, not Memphis, not Denver, who lost last night to Milwaukee, wants any part of these teams. No part of them.
I cannot wait for the handoff game between Mahomes and Cam Ward next year.
Kevin Clark, also a huge Miami fan. We should point that out for anybody who doesn't know.
Unbiased. That was an unbiased comment.
That was an unbiased. Yeah. That's the hand. Who's Cam Ward going to be playing for?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, so if they don't play, there could still be a handoff game. Who is mad to see them play against each other in the postseason? 56 for Steph last night in a 121-115 win. LeBron and the Lakers win 111-102 over Minnesota, and LeBron does LeBron things as he's been doing since Luka's been there. 33 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists. Stop worrying about Ant. Well, Wemby's hurt, so let's leave him to the side. Yeah. Stop worrying about SGA. Worry about Steph and LeBron.
I want to read you a list.
Okay.
Evan. It is the most points in a game by a player age 36 or older. Number 1, Kobe Bryant, 60 points in 2016. Last night, Steph Curry, 56. And then LeBron James, 56 in 2022 against the Warriors. Was anybody complaining about these games? Was anybody looking at Kobe Bryant scoring 60 points against the Jazz and saying,
last game of his career?
Ooh, why don't we have younger players? You know, blah, blah, blah. No, you enjoy this. Nobody was complaining about Tom Brady playing into his 40s and destroying everybody and taking every quarterback who was 24 and 25 and saying, I'm going to show you how to play quarterback. You can't do it. You can't do it like.
Kevin Clark's arrival on ESPN Radio set the stage for a conversation that seamlessly blended nostalgia, deep sports analysis, and the kind of electrifying debate that defines the modern sports landscape. Reflecting on childhood gaming experiences, Clark recalled a rudimentary football arcade machine that inexplicably appeared in his room one day, far from the high-tech gaming setups of today, but a cherished memory nonetheless. It was a lighthearted start before the show pivoted to a night in the NBA that underscored a larger narrative. The league's past, present, and future intersecting in a spectacular display of talent. The biggest story? Stephen Curry, yet again proving why he remains one of the defining figures of this era. In a game where the Golden State Warriors found themselves trailing by as many as 17 points, Curry delivered a jaw-dropping 56-point performance, single-handedly dismantling the Orlando Magic in a 121-115 comeback victory. The numbers were staggering. 16 of 25 from the field, 12 of 19 from beyond the arc, and a perfect 12 of 12 from the free throw line. This was not just another high-scoring outburst. This was a masterclass in resilience, precision, and sheer dominance. For Orlando, the loss wasn't about effort. They played well, executed their game plan, and for large stretches controlled the pace. But when Steph Curry decides he's going to rewrite the script, there's very little any opponent can do. The Magic, a team that has shown promise and defensive tenacity all season, were simply victims of an all-time great operating at the peak of his powers. Even without Jalen Suggs, one of their best perimeter defenders, Orlando fought. They just ran into a force of nature. Curry's performance wasn't just an isolated moment. It was another chapter in the ongoing discussion of who still runs the NBA. The debate over the league's future is a constant. But what about the present? Why are we so quick to look beyond the greatness unfolding before us? Clark and the team made a compelling argument. Instead of obsessing over who the next face of the league will be, why are we just appreciating the superstars still at the top? Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. These players are still here, still elite, still shaping the game in ways that will be studied for years. LeBron, by the way, had himself a night too. The Lakers took down the Minnesota Timberwolves 111-102, with James posting 33 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists. Just another reminder that even in his 21st season, he continues to defy time and expectation. The conversation around the league often shifts toward the young stars, Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But should it? The league's elder statesmen are still delivering in ways that captivate and define eras. And when you look at history, this cycle is nothing new. The post-Michael Jordan years were filled with skepticism. Who would carry the torch? Yet, the league found its stars. Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan. All players who were once questioning their ability to fill the void became legends in their own right. The NBA, for some reason, thrives on doubting its own stars until they're gone, only to later realize their greatness in retrospect. Why not embrace it in real time? As the discussion shifted to potential playoff matchups, the dream scenarios unfolded. A Lakers-Celtics finals? A Lakers-Warriors Western Conference showdown? These are the matchups that move the needle, the battles that continue storylines rather than try to replace them. The reality is that the so-called old guard isn't ready to hand over the league just yet. The young talent will have its time, but for now, the best players in the game are still the same ones who have dominated for the past decade. Patrick Mahomes may have taken the NFL baton from Tom Brady in the 2019 AFC Championship game, but that kind of definitive handoff hasn't happened in the NBA yet. Until it does, Curry and LeBron are still very much in control. The league's obsession with who's next should take a back seat to appreciating the generational talent that is still giving us moments like Curry's 56-point explosion. It was a night that reminded us all basketball's future is bright, but the present is just as spectacular.